Hi everyone, this is Ed from Runnable, and this is my review of the Hurricane 24, Saucony's new highly cushioned stability shoe. But before we launch into the review, let me just say I bought the shoe with my own money. Absolutely no one has altered my thoughts in this review. These are all my unbiased opinions and what I think of this shoe. Okay, with that out of the way, what I'll cover in this review are some stats around the shoe, my likes and dislikes around the shoe, and then I'll cover who I think the shoe is good for. Okay, so some stats. 320 grams in my UK size 9.5. So it's quite a heavy shoe, but it doesn't feel overly heavy on the run. You would notice it going up hills. I ran up to Ali Pali. People in North London who are watching this will know where I mean. There's a big hill. It's an iconic building that sits at the top of a hill that looks all over London. And I ran up that hill in this shoe, and I did feel the weight, but it wasn't ridiculous. Okay, so it's kind of sort of Skyward X, if you've got that shoe, it's that kind of area. The drop, so we've got 38 millimeters in the heel. I know it looks more than that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. 32 in the forefoot, giving that 6 millimeter drop. It feels less than that actually. It feels a lot flatter. When you land in this shoe, it feels very flat. That's not something I'm particularly used to or necessarily like, but actually people who don't like that are going to find it's very stable, but it just makes a really slappy noise. So that's something else to bear in mind. You won't be sneaking up on anyone in this shoe because it's going to make a hell of a noise. So that's a drop. It's a minimal drop and it feels less actually when you're running it. So let's go through some of the key features around the shoe. So the upper, you've got a really nice, soft, plush upper that feels quite thick. It cradles your foot nicely. It's very comfortable around the foot. I had no rubbing, no issues really at all with the upper. I went 9.5. I'm somewhere between 9.5. I went up a little bit more in this shoe, just because sometimes in Saucony shoes, that's what I need to do, and this fits me perfectly. So you might want to go up half size, you might not, but I think basically this is a true to size shoe. You've got a nice plush tongue here. This reminds me a bit of the Skyward X tongue. The upper reminds me a bit of that, full stop actually. But yes, you can cinch down the laces really tight and it doesn't bite into your foot at all, so that's great. You've got a nice plush heel collar. You can see there, there's quite a lot of padding around the heel, and the heel bevel, it's firm, you can't really push it in. I didn't have any rubbing, I had good lockdown, so all in all, upper, really like the upper, I thought it was good. And it looks quite nice, you know, nice and clean, crisp looking upper. Outsole, so you can see the darker areas, or dirty in this case, are where the exposed rubber is with the grip, and these cover most of the areas around the shoe. You've got little exposed foam here, which is the power run foam. These are the rubber with the tread that you can see covering all the main areas, and then right down the middle of the shoe you've got the Power Run PB foam. This is the Saucony's racing foam that's in the Endorphin Pro. It might be a slightly different compound than that, but it is. They are saying it's Power Run PB. So what you've effectively got is you've got Power Run EVA foam that creates a cradle for this Power Run PB foam, a frame if you like. And we'll go into talk about why they've done that in a minute, but just so that you know, there is some exposed Power Run PB foam right in the middle of the shoe, and you can see it's already starting to crease up here. I'm not convinced that will cause too many issues, but it's something just to be aware of. When you're running in this shoe, if you're going over hard gravel and stuff like that, you could start to damage this exposed foam. Okay. Good grip though. It was slightly wet when I was running in it, and it gripped really well. And you can see with the giant footprint here how stable this shoe is going to be, because you've got such a wide landing area. It's wider than any shoe that I own, including the Super Blast and the Skyward X. You can also see, if you turn it the other way, you can see the exposed foam either side of the forefoot to give it this wide base. And you can see on the heel how much it flares out here, and how much the sole flare. You can see it's quite substantial. So all in all, this is a tank of a shoe. It's huge, and when you put it on, it feels like you've got two big planks on your feet. And because it's quite a low drop and feels even lower, it really does feel like you're hitting the ground with two pieces of bouncy wood. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about midsole. Midsole, as I mentioned, 38, 32. It looks more than that. And the reason it looks more than that is you've got walls here in your heel and also in the forefoot to cradle your foot. This is the Saucony Center Path stability technology they're using to keep your foot nice and centered. And you feel that when you put your foot in here. If you try and move your foot either way, it's kind of locked in. Some people are like that, some won't. Those with stability needs will love it because it will stop your ankle rolling, okay? And the same sort of thoughts have gone into this Power and PB and how it's cradled and framed by the much firmer Power and foam. And you can see this is the Power and PB here, and this is the Power and the EVA, the harder EVA. And at the bottom, you can see how it's created a frame around this middle area here. So what that means is when you land, if it was just the Power and PB, there would be there'd be the likelihood that it would push your foot either way. But because there's a frame around it, it centres that foam, so it can't do that. It can't shoot either way. So it's a really clever use of the technology here, and one which I think people with stability needs are going to get a lot of benefit from, because it actually effectively makes this shoe a bit of a niche in the sense that it's a high cushioned stability shoe with racing PIBA foam in it, which they claim it's the same foam that's in the Endorphin Pro 4 and Pro 3. Whether it actually is or not, I'm not sure. I think it may be more like the Triumph 22 foam, but either way, it's a premium PIBA foam, and there aren't any other stability shoes out there with premium PIBA foam. So this is a bit of a niche, and they've used the Center Path technology to make sure that it doesn't become unstable because of that. So yeah, top marks to Saucony here. They've built something that's unique and something that I think people with the stability needs are going to be very interested in, because normally the stability shoes, the ride's not that fun. It's not that bouncy. This is bouncy. It's not ridiculously bouncy as you would expect from a stability shoe, but it's nice. There's a nice feel to it. As I got further into the run, it felt better and better, this foam. Anyway, that's the midsole. Now I'll go into some things I liked and some things I didn't like about this shoe. What I like the look. I like the clean sort of colourway. I like the plushness of the upper. I like the fact it's got, it's very stable. I ran at night and I didn't feel at all like I would fall in this shoe. It feels like, very, very, very stable. And I generally think it's well crafted, and you're getting a nicely put together shoe here. What I didn't like how flat it felt when I landed. It felt like I said, you've got planks underneath your feet, so bouncy planks underneath your feet, and that's not something I particularly like. But I understand those with stability needs; they may be fine with that. It might actually help them. The weight, I don't know what they can do about the weight. This is a tank of a shoe for a good reason, so it's always going to be heavy, but it is heavy, and I prefer personally to run with shoes that aren't as heavy as this. But I don't have extreme stability needs, so I can get away with that. But I understand for those that do, this probably isn't actually a heavy shoe in compared to many of the others, and I know it isn't actually. And the other thing I didn't like, I guess, is the kind of drop. I do like 6mm drop, but like I said, it didn't feel like a 6mm drop. It felt less, and again, going back to the planks of wood, it felt like I was slapping and making a lot of noise. And you know, it's not a graceful shoe. You can't sound graceful in this shoe. And I'm not that heavy. Those that are heavier will make even more noise. And you know, it's a loud shoe like that. And it's a minor thing, but it's just something that you know, I had headphones on for part of that run, and I could still hear the noise I was making. So they're the kind of likes and dislikes. I think all in all, you know, I think this is a good shoe. I think it's going to be really good for people who have stability needs, but also want a plush, you know, bouncy ride. I haven't run very far in it. I think I ran about 7k in this shoe. I need to run more. I felt like the EVA, the Power Run foam, needed to break in a little bit. It felt a bit harsh on the forefoot as I landed, a bit kind of like rigid. And initially the shoe didn't feel as bouncy as I expected it to. But as I got into the run, it started to feel more and more bouncy. And as I was going downhill, where I'm applying more pressure, it felt very nice, actually, very supportive. So this is a one of its kind at the moment. Like I said, a stability shoe that's max cushion with racing foam. So I think for those of you that need stability measures in your shoe, running shoes, this could be an absolute winner for you. It could be a game changer. I did like the ride in it. I'm just saying, for me personally, this is probably not a shoe that I need, but for many of you, it could be a shoe that could change a lot of things for you. So I would advise those with stability needs to check this out. Just bear in mind that it is a huge shoe. It's a tank of a shoe, so it's going to feel big on your foot. It's by no means nimble. I wouldn't particularly want to race in this unless I had to. So they're my kind of final thoughts. I hope you found this useful and interesting. And those that have got stability needs and want to know more about the shoe, just drop any questions in the comments. Those that actually are intrigued or want to know more about the centre path technology, drop some comments in there and we can have a discussion about it. But thanks very much for listening to me today. Thank you very much for listening. If you like my review, please put your thumbs up, give me the thumbs up even, and you know, put something in the comments, and subscribe if you like my content in general. And I'm rambling now, aren't I? So I'm sorry. Anyway, see you later.